Never smile at a crocodile. How cool is my crocodile? Alligator? I don't know. Which? I think it's an alligator. Anyway, check out the magic. It's so pretty. Look at that flashing. Now this is a matte mould. So we're going to have a go at popping some UV resin on this guy, just to see if there's a big difference. Ready? What do you think? Do you think it's better with the UV coating or without? It's been cute. You still got that flash. It's so awesome. I think we should have a play with a few. What do you think? Look at him swimming away. Flash, 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 flash. Yeah, so let's have a play with a bunch of different moulds. We're going to do 2 of the alligators for definite. But we'll do a few other ones as well, some bigger ones and smaller things, just to see. Do you want to find out how? Wow, okay then. Let's go play. Hello and welcome to NERDGOBLIN Art. I'm Lula. So at the beginning I showed you this magical flashy alligator and I've given him a crown since then. I'm using Apex resin from Just For You Online UK and I'm just mixing up. I've got out some Tiny Turner pigment powders and we're going to use a few different colours in a few of these different moulds that I've pulled out. So I'm using my Isotoyo Mixer and that is on an automatic setting and it's working great. I'm enjoying using it. So I've got dark matter, starlight, supernova, aurora. We're going to use a bunch of those. And I pulled out a Let's Resin interference powder in purple to try out as well, doing the same kind of thing as I did with this guy. He is so cute. I love him. Got my cups ready. I'm really enjoying using the Isotoyo mixer, by the way. I have noticed, and I don't know if it's something that happens with everybody else, is that on a higher setting, it just moves a little bit too much. I find as long as I wedge this, the silicone tray that it comes with, as long as I wedge it up against the back of it, it doesn't do the moving too much. But other than that, I'm loving it. It really helps, with achy wrists and stuff like that. I've mixed up 8 fluid ounces of the Apex resin. It is a calculated guess. I'm going to be doing these bigger items, the bigger items. Oh, that sounds so new. I'm going to be doing these. Well, they're not even big molds, are they? They're like all medium-sized, smallish molds. And I'm also going to be doing some of the E-ring molds that I like to do, just for more comparison between some different colours. The bats, the ravens and stuff like that, because I really love them and I need them anyway for going into my shop. So I'm just splitting up the resin because I don't want any flash curing to happen, because 8 fluid ounces is a lot in that cup. And I nearly dropped it then, because you're on speed up, you nearly didn't see it. And I didn't even have to say about it, but just in case you did see it, I'm mentioning it. So there you go. I was feeling particularly clumsy. My neck, I'm not going to lie, my neck is being a big issue at the moment with pain. I have prolapse discs in my neck. And it does make me quite clumsy with my hands and such. So a bit more messy today. So I'm going to do the Let's Resin mix first. So that's like a purple interference powder. I just want it because I don't really have anything. I don't have other sorts of like aura powders or anything like that. But I wanted to give a try of something else almost similar to the tiny turners, just to see. There's a nice purple glow in there, so I'm going to put one of these into the alligator, and into the other alligator we'll put in the dark matter from the tiny turner. Now these little molds, they're great. I find them on Temu. I love them so much I got another mold, and I'm probably going to order another one as well because it's one of my most poured little molds. I just love them. I just love their little faces. So with these molds, the resin's great. Apex resin is absolutely wonderful for debubbling, but it can't stop the kind of bubbles that will catch on the details. So what I find works really well with the little alligator molds is, you know, using your silicone pen and, you know, just to work out those bubbles. And because I've done too much, I always do too much of this, the Let's Resin mix, I thought I'd put it in this frog. Now these little frogs are also matte. We're going to see what they look like matte, and we'll also see what they look like with a UV covering, which we'll do later. I am not filling any of these molds all the way because the next step, once this part, once this is cured, I forgot the word. It took me a quick moment. I forgot the word slightly, but we got there. Is going to be brushing on, burnishing on some of the pigments, and then coating with and finishing with a black epoxy pour. Okay, so that's that froggo done, and I will be keeping my eye on all of them and going back and forth to them just to make sure, you know, just having a little play, so I'm not too worried too much about bubbles, but still it's nice not to have too many of them in there, you know, in case they do affect the effect. Words. So this is the dark matter. This is my favorite mix so far. It is really pretty, and it's if you saw my Galaxy and Snoopy video from about a week ago, as inspired by Wendy from Toonfish Crafts, and I just wanted to have a go at creating that. This is not that effect. With that effect, you leave your mixture go warm so that it doesn't mix with the resin. I've mixed this directly into the resin because this is what I did accidentally last week when I was just filling up mold, filling up my extra molds. So I just thought that I'd have a little play with this because I noticed the flashing that I had in a panda did, and so I thought, well, let's have a little play with this mixture of putting in, you know, a pigment into the actual resin and then basing the bottom of it, because I love the flash that it gives. No, I don't believe it's a new technique at all. Daniel Cooper's probably been doing this. If memory serves, he probably has. But I just wanted to do it in some characters and a few different things just to see what can be done with it. So there we are. So again, with this, the same alligator mould as the one we did first, just making sure that I'm encouraging any bubbles up by using my silicone tool there to get the bubbles to get sticking off the sides, and then using the heat gun. Oh, don't get old. No, it's not about age, honestly. It's brain fog. And breathe. Let's take a breath. Do it with me. So you can breathe in and out. Ooh. So this is the only mould that I'm using, other than the e-ring ones, that is a shiny mould. This is my lovely little tortoise mould from Into Resin. You know, it's one of those sparkly ones. I have been using this mould to death. It is one of my favourite molds. Other than Gerald and the alligators, this is one of the moulds that I use practically all the time. And you can see the use of it from, you know, the whitening of the actual inside of the mould, because I've poured it so many times. I've not ever used isopropyl alcohol as a pre-spray. I have occasionally sprayed on it once it's full, you know, filled with resin, not filled with resin, filled with resin. But that's rare. And you just saw me use my heat gun, but I used it on the first satin. And again, not filling all the way to the top, but this mould is the sort that you really do need to use your silicone tool. You know, if you are new to resin and you're just starting out, these silicone tools are wonderful. They really are. You can pick them up on Amazon, you can get them on Temu, but they are so useful. You can use micro brushes as well, but I just don't get on with them. I don't really like micro brushes. So you just use your silicone tool to pull up those bubbles that like to sit in the details at the bottom. You just lift them up and they'll pop on the surface. So there we go. So next is one of the Gerald type moulds. My Gerald. This is a slightly different version of Gerald. And into this one I'm putting in Supernova. It's what I think is more of a pinky one, I believe. I think that's what I just showed you anyway. I need to write these things down when I'm doing stuff. And I decided to mix in 2 colours for this one, because I thought that these would complement each other. So there you go. I'll probably put up on the screen the names of them, so you know, keep your eyes open for that, and I promise I will put the names of which ones I'm using. Because evidently my memory really does suck. And I can't quite see what I've, you know, when I'm holding, because I'm looking on a small screen whilst I'm editing. So there we go. So I do pre-spray this one with the isopropyl alcohol. And with this mould in particular, he has eyes, so it's a really good idea to give a nice good squish at the bottom just to encourage any bubbles to pop up, and then using your tool to go down and give it a little poke around, because he does have eyes and he's got some detail with his teeth and his nose and stuff. So yeah, as you can see there, I'm just giving it a little bit of a squeeze and such. It really does help. It's quite nice to squeeze them as well. It's therapeutic, shall we say. You can imagine somebody's head and you're squishing it. Squish, squish, squish. Just like that. Just pop it in some more. I'm just trying to, you know, come up with a good little system. So a little bit of tapping, a little bit of the silicone tool, isopropyl alcohol heat gun. It's all good. It's all good. So this particular mould, the Gerald mould and the alligator molds, like to stick to your silicone mats. Now I don't get a big issue with this particular mat because it's a heat-proof kitchen sort, but it can, you know, when you, because there's a heat mat under this, and I will be putting my heat mat on, and it can cause, you know, your silicone mats to lift these very squishy moulds in particular. So it's always a good idea to put some paper. I've used this black card to death. I use it quite a lot, so it helps. It really does to protect your silicone mats. So bear that in mind. And I do find it a lot with the into resin molds as well, because it's their molds are so good. You know, they're not like hard. They got a softness to them, and they're the ones that I have found have damaged previous mats. So, you know, either put card underneath them solely, or just put a big piece down like this. So that is a Gerald, one of the character alligator molds that I absolutely love. Where possible, I will link in the description box any of these molds that I use. There's a mixture. Some are from Interresin, some of them are from Temu, and some of them are from Amazon. So the last, I believe this is the last of the figures, like the slightly medium-ish, bigger type molds. And this one I'm going to put in Aura. It's like a greeny. You can see it on the, if you look at the tub, you can see the green tint to it there. So I'm going to put Aura into this one. There you go, Aura. And mix it in. This mold is my Raven on a Skull. Did this one for the Halloween collaboration, I believe. Not the scary one. the regular Halloween one. And I did my Edgar Allan Poe cabinet, and I put the Raven on a Skull on top of that. Lovely little mold. And again, it's one of those squishy sorts. Yeah. So we're going to put that in. And, you know, I don't use these molds a great deal, so I'm happy to use more of the isopropyl alcohol. Just bear in mind that, you know, isopropyl alcohol will eventually do damage, so to speak, of your molds. You know, it's a risk you take, but it works so well. There you go. Giving it a squeeze and a squash. There's the head of the Raven at the top. And when you fill it up a little bit more, you've got the skull to contend with, so the eyes and the mouth and such. So that's where you just need to run your silicone tool with this type of mold. And again, with the heat gun. I should put little goggly eyes on there, shouldn't I? That would be quite funny, actually. And then when I'm drying, you can see the eyes wibbling and wobbling about. I'm totally going to do that. And I do not have quite enough of that mixture for this mold. But I was happy just to pop in the black. I'm curious as to see how much, because the alligator and this skull one are taller and they're not so, you know, I'm curious to see how the, you know, like the flash, that colour flash may or may not work in the taller molds compared to the shorter ones. So we'll see, you know, and whether it's a case that it'll come out better after it's had like a UV coating. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, won't it? Because as I say, this one is a matte mold, so's the alligator, and even the frog is as well, that little mini frog. So I am not going to bore you with filling up loads of the E-ring molds, but you will see them for the next part, which is going to be just furnishing on some pigment powders and then covering with the epoxy resin that will have black mica powder added to it. It's just going around just like that. Just trying to make them tidy. But resin does as resin will. Trying to cut down the amount of tidying up I'll have to do afterwards. And I'm spraying there, and I was careful not to try and spray too much onto the tortoise mould. So these need to cure for the next stage. Look at all of those. So I've got the ear expander moulds out and such. Now these are different colours. I've got the Supernova, Arcane, and I can't remember. It might be Eclipse. I might have mixed it up, but again. And I've got Champagne by Let's Resin to go into the alligator and the frog. Now, do you remember me saying earlier that I had my neck, my prolapsed neck, you know, the prolapsed neck was playing up? Well, I went to sleep. I napped. And I left this too long. I'd missed that nice honey spot to be able to add, you know, to burnish on pigment paste. Really, it needs to be warm. So I've got out the hairspray. And this is something I seen Daniel Cooper experimenting with, but I believe he said it was somebody else that was doing it or came up with it, but they didn't know who. So if you are that person and you happen to be watching my little channel, thank you very much. But that's what I'm going to do. So this needs to, I need to leave it for about 10-15 minutes. So that's had its time. The power of editing. So it works pretty well. Not as well as I'd like it to, admittedly, but it is working, and you will see me picking them up from time to time just to make sure that it has gone on there. So that's the Let's Resin Champagne going into the two moulds that I use the interference powder with. And next I'm using Supernova to give us that lovely flash. So the dark matter and the starlight complement each other very well. So that's gone on to the turtle one as well. I'm going to play you some music whilst I carry on doing this. And my resin is already mixed, and it has the black mica powder. So we'll be filling all those up, and you can watch as I can do so carefully. And I can spray once the epoxy resin is poured in. I'll give it a spray.
Brush in hand, she stands proud. Colors mix and screams loud. Canvas speaks with strokes wild, like a painter's twisted child. Resin glistens like a dream. Goblin's magic so unseen, creating worlds with a spark. In the studio she leaves a mark. NERDGOBLIN paints her soul. In her art she finds control. Cake crumbs scatter on the floor. Art and sweets forevermore. Late nights, eyes open wide. Passion never tries to hide. Lands of color and mystique. Every piece so unique. thoughts deep in clay, molding dreams in her own way. Life's chaos she defends, creating until it ends. Nerd Goblin paints her soul. In her art she finds control. Cake crumbs scatter on the floor. Oh yeah, forevermore.
So we're nearly there. Being really careful with these smaller ones. I did try my best to leave room for the final pour. But as I said, I was definitely having a bit of a clumsy day. You can see right there when I'm trying to do that raven. But it's easily cleaned up. Just being careful when filling the last of this mould, that you don't go over, because you can use these as pendants as well. I have made them as pendants as well as earrings, but I don't want them to be bulky on the back. I don't want them to be domed, basically. It's the same with the ear stretchers. You don't want them to be domed, because it's going to be flat, you know, on the other side, and you don't want this big dome sticking out. You know, I've got friends that wear the ear stretchers, gauges or whatever, you know, and they do prefer them to be flat and not domed. And on this occasion, I've actually managed to leave enough space just to give a very light backing to these death moth earrings. Now, I did these ones previously and I didn't put a backing on them. They still look amazing and I absolutely love them, but I wanted to see if there was a big difference with a black backing and what I'd prefer, really. You know, you can let me know in the comments as well, if you prefer, you know, if you're a subscriber and you've seen the other videos, do let me know, or go find it. I will try and, you know, it was definitely the Snoopy, Galaxy Snoopy video. So if you've not seen it, give it a watch. It's a good one. And those Snoopies are awesome. I've made more as well since. And if you're not subscribing, please do. You know, it helps my channel and I really appreciate it. My subscribers just commenting, liking, sharing, it is appreciated. You know, if you can't, or if you're unable to become a member, you really help my channel just by doing that, and I truly do appreciate it, just as I do appreciate my members. So thank you. And thank you for any of the coffees. It's just awesome. It really, you know, really, it puts a smile on my face when people, you know, really do stuff like that for me. I really appreciate it. I know I should appreciate twice, maybe 3 times, I don't know, but thank you. So here we are. They are all cured, but we're not finished yet. Obviously we've got to unmold them. Which to go first? So we're going to do the alligator first with the interference powder and the Let's Resin bits. Very different to my first alligator, but it might be different. This hasn't had a UV coating yet, which we're going to be doing for the next part. But you can definitely see some colouring in there. And the frog also has the interference powder and the champagne Let's Resin pigment powder. So you can see a slight colouring in there, but we'll be trimming it down and giving it a coating. We'll do look at all the pour I had. Oh dearie me. I put the tent over it, so I didn't see it after a little while. So it must have decided to go for a little walk, that resin. Oh my goodness. Isn't it awesome that even without a UV covering, this is what those... Oh, it's just, oh, magic. It is really like those, just like magic, just like magic. So this is the only one, other than the jewellery, that won't need a cover. But, oh, sorry, the cats won't either. I did the cats as an extra too. Look at that. It's so pretty. So sparkly. So pretty. So different. It's lovely. I love it. I really do. So next for the alligator. So this is the bigger. This is like the more bigger one. But like I say, it is matte. You can definitely, well, I think the camera's picking it up. We're gonna see if it makes a difference giving it that UV coating. He's cute, regardless if it's worked. It's gorgeous, because he's gorgeous. Look at his little face. Oh. So this is the skull, and we did aura in this one. There we go. And always pop them back the way they were. So, not sure. I can see a tint, but I don't think the camera's picking it up. But again, we're going to give this a covering with some UV. Now, I didn't film filling these ones up, I don't think. But check it. So this is another shiny one. These are the chopstick, crochet hook rests. Cutlery rests, pen rests, they're really cool. I love these little cat ones. And overpour again. My goodness, it's as if it's as if I probably domed them very well and then didn't realise I domed them, and sprayed isopropyl alcohol, and then it ran without me realising. That's what, you know, it looks like. we will sort that out though. But this is a slightly different mix. I believe I put in, I mixed the aura powder with the tiny turner. Now this is just a black cat, because black cats are super cool, because that's the black that I had left over. So what next? What next? All these earrings. Some of them will be available on my website, and some of them will be in the shop. It's not picking it up great on there. We'll try again a bit. Well, you can see the colour there though. That's really cool. These death moth ones. Now, they're cool, but I think they were better without the black backing. Compared to the previous video I did, I kind of like the bats. I actually do, when I'm not throwing them around. I do like the bats. Quite like that. I used arcane in there, so it's a little bit different. I think it's the first time I used the arcane rather than the starlight. And these are my little pentagon ones. Little studs, cute little studs these, and it picks up so cool in those. And Winnie decided to come and say hello. Off you pop, young lady. I love these molds so much. I got 2 sets of these raven ones. I will link them in the description box. I bought them myself. I'm not, you know, I'm not sponsored or anything by them, but they're from Etsy, an Etsy seller. I'm loving that though. That's the dark matter and the starlight again. It really is gorgeous. And these are the ear stretchers. I wasn't expecting a great deal from these, in all honesty, because, you know, they're just basically like a tunnel type thingy. Cylinder? I don't know. Words escape me these days. But they're cool. Now, you've got to be wary with things like this where resin is concerned. You know, there are, you know, people who wear ear stretchers. It's probably best to have these lined. It can be done. Or you can put a disclaimer on there that they're not for first time ear stretchers. There's plenty of people that wear resin made ones. Oh, they're quite pretty actually. Oopsie. I'll get my brother to try them in. My brother has these sort of things. I don't. But they're quite pretty. Look like little galaxies. Now, I need some gloves. Ta-da! And this by magic, it's the next day too. It was late in the evening when I demolded, and it was a bit of a clean-up job. So I've got my JDiction UV resin, got my lamp out, and we're going to be giving these a little covering. Now, the light is different, and I just thought that I'd give you a quick show of these again in more natural light. Yeah, I do have my overhead light on, purely for filming, but it's also daylight. So we're getting a much better look at the colours on these makes. Aren't they wonderful? It's my own fault. It's my impatience for unmoulding things. And I unmoulded them when it was dark. Those are cool. I do prefer these without the black backing. I still stand by that one. I do like these ones. I think they're really, really cool. Nice, a different kind of flash to them, isn't it? And I've cleaned them all up as well. I used my deburring tool. The one on the left is the one by the Let's Resin powders, and then the tiny turner. So I'm going to be putting on some UV resin and popping them into the under the lamp. Stickiness can be an issue, so you need to make sure that they are having a good 5 minutes under the lamp. Of course, if they are still sticky afterwards, which thankfully they weren't for me, you can always do the water trick where you put them in a bowl of water. Look at them. Sorry, I lost my trail of thought. I was looking at the prettiness. You put them in a bowl of water and use your UV lamp, and that it does work. I've done it previously, but I didn't need to on this occasion. So I've put in the 2 alligators, and this is the Froggo. Again, these ones are Bat Moulds. This is the frog and the alligator that I put in the interference powder from Let's Resin and use the champagne chameleon powder. I like the different effect, I really do, but I don't like it as much as Tiny Turner. So we gotta do this guy. You can definitely see a colour there. It's better in the light of day. But I think it's definitely going to benefit from having a UV coating. It doesn't have to be UV, by the way. If you don't like using UV or you don't have UV, you can use a varnish. I like using Liquid-X gloss varnish. I use it quite often to save on the UV resin, because sometimes, you know, it's a lot of resin, UV resin to go through if you do like making jewellery and such. So those are going to have their cure, and I'm going to give them a good 5 minutes, and I'll do this one last just because of the space, because I want to be able to lift up the lamp because it's a little bit taller. It does fit underneath the lamp, and the lamp does have like little legs that you can fold out, but it's easier just to do it as I'm saying I'm going to do it. In my mind, in my head anyway. Again, you can see a tint of light in this one. Perhaps it needed to be thicker, I'm thinking, because this is a taller make than the alligator is. So I'm wondering, and it's going to be another time to try it out, I am wondering if you use like more of a, I don't know, perhaps a deeper amount of the pigment powder brushed on. I don't know. You can still see it. There you go. It's been cured. Gloves are off. So you can definitely see a slight flash. Not a great deal, but I still think it's pretty cool. I quite like it. Maybe it's a different colour use as well at the bottom. Perhaps if I had used Starlight. Froggo is cool. I kind of like what's going on there. That's with the purple interference powder and lined with the champagne. It doesn't give the same kind of glow as the Tiny Turners do. But I don't think they're meant for what they are anyway. And there's the alligator, which had the interference too. But again, I like it. I think it's a nice looking effect. And I think we've added glitter. It'd be cool. But check him out. Isn't he lovely? I'm just mesmerised, but I just think he's gorgeous. I liked it without the UV covering. But with it, I think it's great. So who's next? Doo-doo! Isn't he lovely? It's a she, actually. I've decided it's a she. So you can definitely see a little bit of a colour flash in there. Absolutely. I love it. Doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. I've named her Saren, by the way. In Welsh, that's star. So this is Saren. Lovely colours. And again, I think I should have put, if I used Starlight, there would be a much more of a flash in there of colour and picking up on the dark matter. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you for watching. That's sparkly. I will be adding some of the items in my description box, and if you look down in that description box, there are links to my website and such. Subscribers, thank you. I'm so excited, so much prettiness. Love you. And stay weird.
In a room full of colors and swirls, Nerd Goblin art draws a magic world, with foxes that prance and badgers that dance, a whirlwind of dreams with a single glance. Gerald the alligator grins so wide, in enchanted waters he loves to hide. Dragons breathe wonder with flames so bright, each creature born from a magic night. Nerd Goblin paints life in every brush, animals frolic in a vibrant rush. From canvases to tales they leap, in a realm where fantasy meets deep. The studio's alive with swirling paint, creatures so pure they need no saint. Sketches of foxes with tails of light, badgers with moonlit fur in flight. Gerald floats in a stream of dreams, dragons shimmer with ethereal beams. Nerd Goblin's laughs fill the space, in every stroke there's a warm embrace. Nerd Goblin paints life